Hello, everyone. Good morning. I'm Rajgopal. I'm Managing Director and CEO of NxtGen Cloud and Data Center Technologies. It is perhaps wrong for a tech company to say this, but past 1 year, our focus has been not to build technology resilience and all that. We were actually focused on building people resilience. So we were focused on team resilience and even individual resilience, but that doesn't take away from what we've done on the tech side. I mean, we've really helped Ministry of Health to actually manage most of the rollouts that happened for these pandemic-related applications, and we also work with Election Commission. We work with many other enterprises to actually keep them running 24/7. There are a few thoughts that I wanted to share, which are relevant to this discussion today. One of the most important things is that, when we keep looking at cloud and we think that, cloud doesn't have geography boundaries and all that, we try to put it in context of India. And India is a fairly large country and it's got its own regional preferences. And, the other trend is that the data is actually getting generated outside the data center. I mean, there are cases where it's up to 90% of the data is actually outside the data center. So one of the trends that we are seeing is that the application needs to move closer to the data center. To give you a perspective, let's say if a citizen has to vote in a digitally cast his vote, I mean, he needs to be authenticated biometrically at the closest point. I mean, and then he casts his vote, and then it accrues to the constituency that he's casting the vote. So there are kind of scenarios that are emerging which genuinely require us to rethink about how we go about building our digital infrastructure. So the way we are thinking about it is that India has more than 14 cities, which are, I would believe, they're bigger than about 200 countries, each of them, in terms of their GDP. So I believe that they should have their own data centers and their own cloud infrastructure. So what we're doing is we are trying to expand our cloud from 4 locations to 14 cities, so that we are much closer to those economies which need digital infrastructure to actually grow. What we're doing additionally is that we wanted to complement these 14 cities with at least 236 locations of edge infrastructure, which is connected to this, and complement this infrastructure so that the applications can actually move closer to the citizens who are consuming these applications. Perhaps, in the future, I mean, maybe all the 644 districts in India, we would have an edge infrastructure. And once we have that, I mean, we would have a fog of computing across the country. And perhaps that's what will enable true digital transformation. That's on the infrastructure side. Having said that, it's also important in parallel that we build quite a lot of skill sets for people to start using these newer technologies that are getting available. So one of the work that we've done with Intel and HP together is that HP's Cray team and Intel have enabled us to build, perhaps cloudify the HPC technology. So now we're making high performance computing infrastructure available for many more research and educational institutions than what it was possible earlier. So far, this infrastructure was available only to select few. With this thought process, perhaps we will be able to make it available for many more to consume these technologies. But having said all this, one of the things that we see with our customers is that it's not enough we solve the infrastructure problem. It is important that we try to understand what the customer is wanting to do as a business idea and help them convert it. Because today what happens is that many of our customers, even though they have exciting ideas, they go through a pretty long process in terms of trying to find the right partners to build this into an application and roll it out, and perhaps try to find people to actually run it on 24/7 basis. So the second big initiative for us during this pandemic that we did is that we wanted to offer digital transformation as a service. What this would mean is that we would be able to pick up a digital idea, an idea, convert it into a digital application, and then roll it out and run it for the customers. Many of our customers are even asking us to run their DevOps for them. So these are very exciting trends for us. As a company, NxtGen is moving up the value chain. We are able to now start thinking about not just infrastructure as a service, but true to what cloud says. So cloud is a very broad term. You actually have many layers in cloud, and it's far more than infrastructure. So we are actually trying to become that company, where we genuinely provide the kind of solution a company would require to actually convert an idea into an application and then run it for them. So perhaps soon we would be able to run enterprise IT as a service. With that direction, we genuinely hope that we'll be able to serve this country. But the points that I wanted to leave for all these eminent people in here is that I think it is important for us to move this infrastructure currently cluttered in 1 or 2 cities, actually maybe 3 or 4 cities at best, to actually much more deeper into the country and leverage the large networks that are there from different service providers to actually build a pretty robust computing infrastructure in India, so that the applications that we build are not just workflow automation, but we actually build something very, very unique. And this is the time the digital infrastructure should start playing this role of enabling new applications. And we hope we'll play a spawn part of it. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Rajgopal. Really well articulated message.